Here I am, standing in the bitter cold at the request of a cliché letter. As the snowflakes fall, the faint scrunching of snow can be heard from behind me. A delicate, feminine voice calls my name, and along with it, the beating of my heart went rapid. Facing the owner of that voice, nervousness assails me to the point where the only thing I can recognize is my heartbeat. I attempt to move, only for my arms to light up in pain, my legs giving out from under me. I lay there in the gelid snow as that voice continues to call my name. The voice that was once delicate and calming is now filled with worry and shock. The snow falling before me seems to mesh into a haze, with the world around me being enshrouded in darkness. And thus, my life began anew. Katawa Shoujo is an adult visual novel made by indie team 4 Leaf Studio in 2012. It's a visual novel that is quite popular and highly praised within the community, with a deep and unique history behind it. So what qualities does it have to make it stand out among the various others like it? Katawa Shoujo follows Hisao Nakai, a third-year high schooler. After severe heart attack, was diagnosed with cardiac arrhythmia and was soon whisked away to Yamaku Academy, a school for those with physical disabilities with various programs in place to help prep students for life after graduation. For Hisao, it is a completely foreign place. Coming from a relative banal life, has to slowly adapt to this new environment. Katawa Shoujo uses the classic visual novel mechanic of periodically picking a choice when prompted to sway the progression of the story. There are a total of 5 routes for various students Hisao meets at the school. One for Shizune, Lily, Hanako, Rin, and Emi. There's also a bad end for those who have picked choices that neglected or were indecisive of what route to go down. Each route explores the themes of taking the step from adolescence to adulthood, broaching how one should handle their past no matter how tragic or easy it was. Using that to better yourself and change into a better someone in the future. All while bringing up relatable internal struggles hindering both the one in question and their relationships with others. Out of the visual novels I've played, this is the most novel-like, giving a great deal of attention to the scenery and expressions of characters, keeping you thoroughly engaged through its clever and immersive descriptions. The pacing throughout each route is done fairly well. Scenes rarely feel as if they drag on, with events happening at a swift pace to keep you engaged. However, this can also cause some scenes to feel rushed. There are high-tension moments that are quickly resolved, which would have benefited from going more in-depth with the thoughts of the people involved. On the outside, it seems like a basic romance with a slight twist, but where the novel gets its charm is its varied and well-rounded characters. By reading through each route, you uncover many hidden secrets and struggles within each character, all which have varying and unique characteristics that cause them to stand out and become memorable. Told in the first-person perspective of Hisao Nakai, he's in between being a self-insert and a character of his own. As he enters this isolated and foreign school, he finds his thoughts wandering, often having notions that end up on the more upfront and insensitive side, espousing anxiety that causes trouble with socializing with his peers. With a kind-hearted nature, he may seem a bit generic, but the detail that is put in his thought process, wants, and overall personality makes him seem a bit more unique than your average high school protagonist, with him often reflecting on life and what he should do for the future. Slowly but surely, as he spends his days in this unorthodox school, he adapts to his surroundings, with his pliable self changing drastically depending on his romantic partner. There's the docile, reclusive Hanako Ikezawa, the modest, well-mannered Lily Sato, the diligent yet playful Shizune Hakamichi, the energetic Emi Ibarazaki, and finally the carefree, befuddling Rin Tezuka. Hisao's relationships with each of them are thoroughly fleshed out, but due to him being written by entirely different writers throughout each route, leads him to be inconsistent. Described as impressionable, the different relationships Hisao gets himself in can drastically change his mentality, outlook, and overall well-being. Most of these are sensible and are beautiful to see develop. It goes in depth to give an introspective look into how a significant other can help you find a new part of yourself, showing how either contrasting or comparative qualities can help both people involved to grow and learn from one another. There are also cases of the opposite happening as well, where the dalliance itself hurts those involved. Their compatibility causes a rift where it is best to accept your differences and go separate ways, yet at times forces the romantic aspect. causing Hisao to make out-of-character decisions which only lead him to become more enraged and insufferable in his situation, often engendering negative qualities that make him hard to sympathize with. However, the people he meets throughout his time in Yamaku is what makes this experience an intriguing, extensive look into adapting to and overcoming unforeseen dilemmas. While most of them have come to accept their differences and have adapted with their limitations, they are always held back by something mental, making their own personal struggles the real thing holding them back. Each story path contains deep, interesting, and insightful themes that help the person in question break through their mental blockage, while also being something that the reader can take note of and apply to themselves. Every character contains a multitude of relatable traits, with great detail and care put into humanizing everyone on the cast, that even if you haven't gone through the struggles they have, you can still sympathize with them. The main cast aren't the only members to be given care, as even the small number of side characters have their own unique quirks and lessons to give. Each fit their various roles while being an outlet for Hisao to reflect on life and how he should move forward. Everyone within the game displays realistic qualities, making them extremely likable both in their development and the overall entertainment value they provide. The beauty of the art is not in the detail, but in setting the atmosphere and instantly conveying the personality of its characters. Their appearance gives some sort of characterization. From their hairstyle, expressions, or even their apparel can cause you to get a sense of what they are like. The background images, while just being a filtered photograph, fits in with the aesthetic of the character designs. It never feels jarring when the drawn character sprites show up, or when switching from the normal background to a drawn CG. Both styles complement one another to create something that is subdued. This creates an experience that is mostly calming, perfectly matching the mood of most scenarios. Adding to the soothing aesthetic is the wonderfully crafted OST. The soundtrack is filled with an abundance of soft and pleasant tracks, giving off the sense of a serene, isolated environment, fitting the outlook of Hisao's views on Yamaku. To add in variety are some nice energetic tracks that lighten up the mood or add a layer of seriousness. Tracks like Raindrops and Petals and Afternoon left me in a blissful state just taking in the atmosphere before me. However, with what sort of themes the story handles, that cheerful, carefree music won't always be there. When the time comes, pieces like Painful History or Cold Iron contain heavy, hard-hitting piano notes to immediately build an exorbitant amount of tension within the current predicament. The piano emanates despair with every note, as if it were a gateway directly into the character's heart. Every style used within this game is done to perfection, immediately setting the tone and inducing emotion. Overall, Katawa Shoujo is a one-of-a-kind look into the lives of youth relationships and the many troubles one may face. I give Katawa Shoujo a solid 8 out of 10. With the story's inclusion of influential morals, dynamic, rounded characters, and beautiful tone-defining art and OST, makes this a great romance novel that is both enjoyable and reflective. But a piece of work is not without its flaws. The rushed moments, forced relationships, leading Hisao to become an unlikable protagonist brings the experience down. Katawa Shoujo is a beautiful visual novel that if you are looking for a nice romance story, I highly recommend giving it a try. It is something that holds meaning and with its varied characters make it enjoyable with very little to hate. There isn't a set recommended route order, but I recommend doing Lily's last. This may be biased since it was my favorite, but I felt it to have the most climactic and heartwarming finale. If you are interested, Katawa Shoujo is completely free on its website, which will be linked in the description. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Later.